Hey there, if you like the intro to this video, then you'd be surprised that all of it was recorded using the Canon EOS R and the Atomos Ninja V. Today within this video, I want to go over how to get the best quality video settings out of your Canon EOS R. And yes, it will require the Atomos Ninja V, which is an additional add-on. Though, if you do want to get the best quality video, that is how you're going to be able to do it. And yes, we will be utilizing Canon Log, not Canon Log 2, not Canon Log 3, Canon Log 1. So let's get straight into the video. Now you may be thinking, who still uses a Canon EOS R within 2025? Well, that would be me. And the reason why I still use the Canon EOS R is because it is a great photography camera, though from time to time I still shoot videos here and there. And when I am shooting videos, I want to make sure that I'm getting the best quality possible out of my videos. Now there's going to be people out there who say that the Canon EOS R has horrible rolling shutter, but hey, I'm usually recording on a tripod like right over here, and that is what you guys are seeing right now. I am utilizing the Canon EOS R in Log 1 with the Atomos Ninja V, and I'm just going to use the gear that I have on hand, and there's no reason for me to upgrade just yet into a new camera system or a better camera that may cost $2,000 or $3,000 at least. I'm going to use the gear that I have and maximize on it as much as possible. But if you are someone who still has the Canon EOS R, here's going to be the way that you can get the best quality video possible out of it. So things that you will need to get the best video quality out of your Canon EOS R will be: one, a Canon EOS R. You also need an Atomos Ninja V, an SSD to record to on your Atomos Ninja V, an HDMI to mini HDMI cable, and that's going to be pretty much it. But of course you'll need some good lenses to pair with your Canon EOS R. Currently I'm using the Canon 24-70 2.8L USM, and that's what you guys are seeing at 24 millimeters. Do note that when you are recording 4K on the Canon EOS R, it does have a crop, though if you know how to utilize that crop to your advantage, you can get a shot like this. Now you may be wondering, why do I need to purchase or let's say have an Atomos Ninja V when recording onto the Canon EOS R? Well, if you are recording internally onto the Canon EOS R, you're going to be limited to the 8-bit video and also limited to your record time limit. There's a record time limit of 30 minutes, and sometimes that's just not enough. And being able to record unlimitedly, being able to record without any limits is going to be the goal here, but also maximizing the amount of bit depth we can have within our video. The Atomos Ninja V allows us to record externally from the Canon EOS R, and when you record externally, you're able to go from 8 bits to 10-bit video, which gives you more flexibility within your colors and more flexibility when color grading Canon Log 1. Canon Log 1 is a flat color profile, and that color profile is actually not the best when it comes to Canon's log profiles. The best one would be Canon Log 2, though when Canon released their first mirrorless camera, which is the Canon EOS R, the log curve that they applied, or I guess you could say kept within this camera, was only Canon Log 1. So I want to make sure that we're able to pull out as much information from Canon Log 1. And this color grade that you're seeing, I'm actually going to be going more in depth within that color grade as well. But first, we need to talk about how to get the best video settings utilizing your Atomos Ninja V with your Canon EOS R. Another plus is that when you utilize the Atomos Ninja V, you'll also be unlocking Apple ProRes, which is a specific type of codec that you can use to record your videos in. And if you are editing your videos on an Apple Mac computer, it will play back very smoothly, especially if you're using an M series Mac. So if you already have a Canon EOS R and an Atomos Ninja V connected with the HDMI cable and also an SSD, we're gonna go over the settings that you need so that you can get the best quality video possible. And I'm gonna switch over so that you guys can see the exact settings that I use within my videos. All right, let's get into it. So right here on this table, we have all the gear that I have been talking about. I have my Canon EOS R. I have my Atomos Ninja V located right over here. I also have the SSD. This is an Angelbird SSD that fits directly into the Atomos Ninja V without an adapter. I did not mention the NPF battery. This is a Sony NPF battery. And yeah, this thing just powers the Atomos Ninja V. And we also needed HDMI right here to mini HDMI right over here. That's where we're going to connect the Atomos Ninja V to our Canon EOS R. Though before we get into the settings, we definitely have to set this up. So first things first, we're actually going to connect the SSD to the Atomos Ninja V. It actually has its own connectors right over here. And we just connect it right through here. You just slide it through. It just locks into place. And next will be the NPF battery. Now it has some prongs at the bottom and it has this right over here. We're just gonna match it, place it in, and snap it into place. And that's just gonna be placed right over there. Now I do have a cold shoe mount for my Atomos Ninja V, and I'm just gonna place it straight through and then lock it in. Just like so. And then lastly, on the side of our Canon EOS R, we need to open up one of the flaps. And that's going to be our mini HDMI port. And I'm going to connect the mini HDMI inside. And I'm going to turn it the other way. And right over here on our Atomos Ninja V, we need to place it into the HDMI in ports. We're just gonna feed it right through, just like so. And now we have our complete setup, though I'm gonna rotate this around, and this would be our setup. But now I'm gonna turn on the Canon EOS R. Just gonna flip this switch. And I'm also gonna turn on the Atomos Ninja V, just the power button on the side. Just press it once. And there we go. So the Atomos Ninja V allows me to record externally using the 10-bit video and compared to using the 8-bit video if I were to record internally with the Canon EOS R. But now we're gonna dive right into the settings, but before we do that, I'm gonna place the lens cap onto the lens. Also, I think it's better for me to show you all the settings that you want to do on your camera first. So I'm actually going to take off the Atomos Ninja V and unplug it and show you everything that you need to do on your Canon EOS R, so then you can be successful to recording the best video quality possible. So here we are on our Canon EOS R. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we're recording in video, and how we do so is that we click the button located at the top right over here. And then we click info. Info is going to allow us to switch from photo or video mode. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I am in video and manual. And I'm going to select that. It gave me this error because obviously we are not connected to the Atomos Ninja V. We're going to be switching that out later on. But the next thing we're going to do is actually head to our menu. And I'm going to hit the menu button. We're going to go through each and every page that you may want to switch over to make sure that you're recording in the best quality possible. So first thing we want is to record in 4K 24 frames per second, and 23.98 is the same thing as 24 frames per second. Though if you are someone who records in 30 frames per second, then you want to switch over to here. Just keep in mind your certain settings for your camera that you may need to change if you are going from 24 frames to 30 frames per second. Next, movie cropping is going to be disabled. We don't really need it. Sound recording, that is something that I set to manual because I do connect my Rode Wireless Me directly into my camera, and then I monitor my audio that way to make sure that is in the best possible levels. And then time code, you don't really have to worry too much with this unless you are working with multiple cameras. and movie digital IS, you usually want this to be disabled, especially if you're going to be placing your camera on a tripod. The moment you place digital IS on, you're going to crop in your video, and when you're already recording in 4K with the Canon EOS R, you're going to have a 1.7 times crop, and you don't want even more of a crop than you already have. So I'm going to leave that disabled. Next, lens aberration correction. There's no reason for me to change these. These ones are going to be set to its default, so I don't really have to do much about that. Remote control, if I did have a remote control, then I would enable it, but I don't. ISO speed settings, this one is really up to you. I just use it as default. No need for me to change it. Metering timer is going to be 8 seconds, but that's just what the default is. Now, this is where your meat and potatoes is really going to be at when you're setting your camera settings on your Canon EOS R. Your white balance is going to be very, very important when you're recording in log, and you want to know your white balance relative to the light that is being shown within your shot. So the lights that I have located over here and also behind me, those are both set to 5600 Kelvin. So I do have my white balance matching the white balance of my lights. You can also do custom white balance, but I would just set your white balance to whatever your lights are or whatever the scene that you're recording. White balance correction, I just leave it as it is, and we're gonna go to Canon Log settings. The reason picture style is blanked out, or it's gray, is because of the fact that we want to record in log. The moment that we turn off log, then we'll have access to picture styles, but we want log within our video. We want the most dynamic range out of our video. So that's why we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna go ahead and turn on the Canon Log, and we want it to be a 10-bit. As you can see, if we did 8-bit, we'd be able to record from our SSD, but I have the Atomos Ninja V here, and I want to get the best quality possible. So I'm going to switch it over to 10-bit, and as you can see, HDMI out to 10-bit video 4K equipment is required, which we do have right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose OK. View Assist, I highly recommend that you do not use View Assist. There's going to be people online who tell you that you have to use View Assist. It actually helps you out. Yeah, after multiple tests with this camera, it does not help me whatsoever, and I do not recommend it whatsoever. For the color matrix, keep it at EOS Original, Cinema EOS Original, because when we go to our editing software, we will need that to be EOS Original to get the best quality possible within our video. And characteristics, I just leave everything at 0. And I don't know if you can see where it says HDMI color space is BT709. That's basically Rec 709, and that's exactly what we want. High ISO speed, noise reduction, I always have that off, but that is up to you. That's a personal preference. Next, AF methods, that really is up to you. I love using the face tracking, but if you are not doing faces, definitely try something like a zone AF or expanded AF area. Those things are really, really helpful. Touch and drag AF settings and movie servo AF. I highly recommend they have movie servo AF enabled. Touch and drag AF settings, that is really up to you. That's just a custom setting that you can set. If you are manual focusing, the Canon EOS R allows you to have these manual focus peak settings where it has about like 3 lines that come in together and basically lets you know if you are in focus or not. These are going to be grayed out. Lens electronic manual focus, that's up to you if you want to enable or not. If you want to limit some of your AF methods, you sure can as well. I usually skip this part because this is much more about your files and it's not really needed. Okay, so now that we're in the gearbox settings, there's some things that we definitely need to change. And the reason we need to change it is because if we were recording internally with a 30-minute timer, then we don't really have to worry about it. But since we're recording externally, the camera thinks that it's in standby mode. And we need to make sure that because it thinks it's in standby mode, we don't want the camera to turn off while we are recording externally. So how we do that is that we're gonna go over to power saving mode. And this is where we have the option to change our display off, auto power off, and viewfinder off. Now, I personally set these for display off, and the display would be this main display right over here. The main display would just turn off within 3 minutes, but I made sure that the auto power off would be disabled. And my viewfinder off will be my viewfinder. Obviously, I want that to be turned off within 3 minutes. That just allows me to save battery life and allows me to still record externally while both of these screens are off. Display brightness, that's really up to you, and the color tone is really going to be up to you, but that doesn't really matter too much if you are going to be recording on the Atomos Ninja V. And also you want to make sure your eco mode is turned off. If you had it on, then it would definitely turn the battery off a whole lot sooner. But that's pretty much it when it comes to the settings that you need to be successful from your Canon EOS R. If you are, United States NTSC, if you are somewhere else other than the United States, switch it out to PAL. But the next thing we're going to be talking about is your camera settings, or specifically your video settings when we talk about your shutter speed, ISO, and your aperture. Now, once again, I'm using the Canon 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8. So I'm going to try to keep my f-stop at 2.8. Actually, let me switch that out for you guys so it looks more pleasing. And my shutter speed is 1/50th, and the reason that it is 1/50th is because of the fact that I'm recording in 24 frames per second. We have something called the 180-degree rule, and with the 180-degree rule, we always want to double our frame rate for our shutter speed. So, or double our shutter speed based on our frame rate. Sorry, I said that incorrectly. So since we're recording in 24 frames per second, if we do 24 times 2, it's going to be 48. But most cameras cannot do 48. As you can see, they usually can do 40 or 50, and 50 is going to be the closest thing that we can get. So we're going to keep it at 1/50th. And when it comes to our ISO, now on Canon's website, when you're recording on the Canon EOS R and you want to use the Canon Log, they recommend they use an ISO of 400. They say that's going to be the best ISO when you're recording with Canon Log. Though, this is based on my testing where I've noticed that it does not really matter what you use, as long as you stay within the range of ISO 400 to around 6400. The moment you go over 6400, you're going to introduce too much noise within your shot. But I've noticed, especially when I was recording outside based off of the intro, staying around 400 to 6400 has been the sweet spot for me, and I really, really enjoy the type of videos that I get, especially when I record in 10-bit on the Atomos Ninja V. So that's pretty much it when it comes to our video settings on the Canon EOS R, though I still need to show you the rest of the settings that you will need on the Atomos Ninja V. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that back onto our camera. All right, so we are now on our Canon EOS R with our Atomos Ninja V. Now I do have some things already pre-put on this camera, like my own 10-bit Canon Log 1 LUT to Rec. 709. I'm actually going to show you guys within another video how to do that and how to color grade your Canon Log footage. Though, because this video is probably getting too long, that's definitely going to be another video. But I just want to get you guys set up within this video on how to get the best video quality possible. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on native for what the monitor is actually going to be seeing. And what I'm going to do is actually set this camera up for being shot on a tripod. So we are now at our scene, and within the scene we have two lights. There's one located right over there, and there's one located right over there, and then we have a chair where I would usually sit at right over there. And this scene is basically a sandwich lit scene where we have a main key light in the front and our hair light on our back. Though I want to show you guys how to properly expose on your Atomos Ninja V. Now, I already spoke about shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. And within this scene, I already have my ISO set to ISO 400, aperture set to 2.8, and my shutter speed set to 1/50th. And the way that you usually want to expose for your scene, if you are recording at 24 frames per second, is that you want to keep your shutter speed at 1/50th, but change your aperture and ISO on your camera if need be. If you have to increase your ISO, then do so. If you have to increase your aperture, then do so. But the way to easily get exposure when you are using the Atomos Ninja V is actually to use right here, this button, which is going to be your waveform. Now, waveform on the Atomos Ninja V is going to be in the values of 0 to 100, where 0 is going to be your black points, showing your shadows, and 100 is going to be your highlights or where you are clipping within your shot. Now, what you want to make sure is that you're not really touching the 0 or 100. And if you're not touching 0 or 100, then you are in a very good exposure for Canon Log 1. And once again, we are recording within Canon Log 1 within the Atomos Ninja V. And Canon Log 1 usually does not have that much dynamic range, but we can still get lots of great color if we expose correctly. Now you may be wondering, oh, what about the exposure value on the actual Canon EOS R? Well, if you are exposing with the Canon EOS R, it does have its own histogram, though the histogram is not that useful compared to the waveform that you can have on the Atomos Ninja V. And if you are exposing using the exposure meter, I would recommend to keep your exposure around +1, usually 1.7 or 1.3, or have it around the +2 mark. But it's a lot harder to do that while you're recording, so it's a whole lot easier to utilize the Atomos Ninja V's waveform. Now that we have that covered, we're going to go into the settings that we need to have covered within our Atomos Ninja V. We're going to tap the top left, and we're going to go to the source. Want to make sure that we're connected via HDMI, of course. Next, we're going to go to input, and we have our HDMI as our input. We are recording in 24 frames per second, 23.98. It's the same thing as 24, and the HDMI standard is 2.0 with this specific HDMI. Once again, source is going to be HDMI, and then we have log H/HDR. We are recording in log, and this log format is going to be Canon Log 1. The camera that we have is a Canon. We also have our Canon Log for our gamma, and we have the gamut as cinema gamut. And the gamut is going to be the same thing that we set on our camera earlier for the Cinema EOS original. That's why we had to keep it the same. All right, we're gonna go into output, and output is going to be in 4K, but also what you need to know is that the HDR type is gonna be Rec 709. That is gonna be very important, and the gamut is going to be 709 as well. Next, we're gonna go to record, if it works. And the ProRes is going to be Apple ProRes, which I was talking about earlier. Apple ProRes is going to be very useful when you're recording. And I chose the light compression, so these are going to be smaller files, but it's still going to be very, very easy to edit on my NLE of choice, aka DaVinci Resolve, because it's the best thing ever. And we do not want any proxies for this recording. And obviously UHD, 24 frames per second, UHD is going to be 4K. Time lapse, you don't really need whatsoever. I don't really use it at all. We have time code if need be. No need for me to dive into that. If you know that you're going to be utilizing multiple cameras, then go ahead and go into time code. But for me, I don't really need it. File, if I ever want to change the file name, that I can do so. audio. Audio is going to be very important. So if you plug in directly to the Atomos Ninja V, then you will be able to record using the first line over here. But if you are plugging in your microphone of choice directly into your Canon EOS R, make sure you select channels 1 and 2 and make sure you hit that record button. That way, when you are recording externally, it will record what's on the camera and not connected to the monitor. I had trouble before. Please, I want to share this information to you guys so that you guys can learn from my mistakes. All right, mic line. Once again, if you connect it directly into the monitor, then you'll monitor your mic line. Though what I will recommend is that you put a +2 audio frequency delay. I've noticed that when you record externally, sometimes it cannot match, but adding a +2 really helps. And then media is obviously connected to my SSD if you guys want to check that out. If you want to format it, you can do so as well. If you need to change the date, if you need to look at your power, and I already have it activated as usual. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the top section. And obviously you can hit record if need be. I actually can just hit the record button on my Canon EOS R and it will record to the Atomos Ninja V, which is a great thing. And yeah, I'm pretty much done on this point. Just make sure that you have your settings correct on your Atomos Ninja V. Make sure you're exposing with the waveform. It will save you so much time. And that is pretty much it when it comes to the Atomos Ninja V. There's a lot more things that you can do with the Atomos Ninja V, but what I like to do is actually load up a custom LUT profile, the one that I was speaking about earlier that I have made for Canon Log 1, and it's really easy to load into. I'm gonna go ahead and press native, and then I'm gonna hit my LUTs, which is 10 bits C Log 1. It made the scene a little bit darker and moody, but it's actually a fully color graded LUT, which I really appreciate. And this is the scene that you guys would see if you're recording on the Canon EOS R. And I'm actually going to show you guys how to color grade and get that specific look within your Canon EOS R in my next video. Though, if you guys enjoyed the video, thank you for watching the whole thing. I know it was very informative. I hope that it was also entertaining as well. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new, leave any comments down below if I need to address any issues that you may have if you're trying to get the best type of video quality out of your Canon EOS R. Let me go ahead and sit down too. Hopefully everything looks good. I know I'm like pointing down, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, truly. If you did, please sure leave a like, subscribe if you are new, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Take it easy.